Ooh, hammered. Stay down, big one. Oh, it's a big one. Man, this is awesome. Hey guys, this is Gene Jensen. Whoa. Today, we're gonna talk about the smallmouth spot. Get him up in here. Yes, that was awesome. Whew. Man, look at that fish. Man. Those are fun to catch. I don't get to catch a whole lot of them, so I'm pretty excited. Oh my gosh. Wow. All right, so the smallmouth spawn. First of all, what water temperature do the smallmouth spawn at? They spawn somewhere between, anywhere between 57, 58, and all the way up to 70. About the same time the bass spawn. They just spawn in a different spot. You know, I always thought that they spawned a little bit earlier, which, you know, I guess 57 is a little earlier than bass. That's when the first wave move up. But it's just, they like different spots, and the kind of spots that they're looking for is those offshore hard bottoms. They spawn deeper. They prefer that the pea gravel, the little bitty small little gravel, just to hold pea gravel flat. They're looking for a hard flat like clay banks, and they'll even spawn in the grass. And I've got a little bit of grass on the bottom here on this point, but that's the kind of stuff they're looking for. And it doesn't have to be much. It can be, you're going along a bluff wall and all of a sudden this little bitty flat comes out with pea gravel on it, or this little bitty rock comes out or whatever. Small little short points with pea gravel on them. It doesn't have to be a huge flat, but that's usually the place I look first. Now, when I say they spawn deeper, they pretty much spawn on this lake. This is Dell Hollow. They'll spawn anywhere between 18 and 10 and 18 feet. But if the water's super clear, they'll spawn deeper than 18 feet, 20, 25 feet. If it's a little bit muddier or quite a bit muddier, they'll go shallow, but that rarely ever happens. Other lakes, depending on the water clarity, you know, it could be 10 to 12 feet. You just have to kind of figure it out depending on your lake and the water clarity of your lake. But those super clear lakes, which is what smallmouth really thrive in, it's going to be fairly deep, 18, 20 feet. I'm fishing it's a Rage Swimmer, half-ounce head, so I can get it down there, and I'm just letting it sink all the way to the bottom. I just threw that one in about 12 feet of water, letting it sink all the way to the bottom, and then just slowly reeling it back. Of course, that one I didn't get a chance to reel it back. I was messing around with stuff in the boat, and I just picked up, and that fish was on it. And so that may also tell me something that I need to slow way down or go to something that's directly on the bottom, like a Ned rig or a jig or something like that. Got it. Ooh, hammered. Stay down, big one. Oh, it's a big one. Oh, I got everything on. I don't care. Whoa. Oh man, this is awesome. My goodness gracious. Just swimming a swim bait. I changed sizes. I went to a smaller swim bait. I've been having a little bit of trouble catching them on the big one. So I went to a smaller swim bait. Man, freaking hammered it too. Awesome. It's exactly what it's supposed to do. I'm fishing a long flat or a long point that sticks out. Man, I'm trying to get some good lighting. Wow. So what I'm doing is I'm fishing a long point that sticks out, and I just threw that swim bait over top of it. Textbook, a moving bait in 15. I'm sitting in 15 feet of water. I don't know how deep I'm throwing, but it's and you just swim it through the area. You cannot sight fish for these things most of the time, so it's better just to throw a moving bait, and they will come unglued if they're not locked in and actually laying eggs. So I'm just throwing it out there. I'm letting it sink all the way to the bottom. You can do this with a spinner bait, with a willow leaf blade. You can do this with a swim bait, with a grub. I mean, just about anything that just swims. A paddle tail swim bait is ideal for it. Tends to, for some reason, it tends to weed out the small ones too. I let it sink all the way to the bottom, and then I'm just slow rolling it back. Very slowly. About every 15, 20 turns, I'm gonna stop and let it sink to the bottom. It's not really necessary because they'll come up and hit it. A lot of times, shoot, they'll hit top water doing this too if it's a little bit of wind on the water. I don't have a whole lot of wind, and so my confidence level with a top water bait isn't quite what I want it. I mean, what it is. So. And you just fan cast the whole area. Cool thing is I've got this real long point, or real long flat. They call it a flat. It's a flat point, what it is. But there's another one that I haven't even touched yet today. So sweetness. Now, one thing I did mention after that fish is that once a smallmouth gets locked on the bed, they don't bite. It's not like a largemouth where you can eventually get them to bite. Once they're there, man, they're not going to bite. They're just going to spawn. But when they just move up, just barely move up on the beds, and they're starting to fan, that's the period of time where they just absolutely come unglued to a swim bait, some type of a moving bait. Jerk bait really good when it's windy. A jerk bait's good. When there's just not a whole lot of wind on the water, I don't even bother with a jerk bait. All right, so comparing smallmouth to largemouth, or the way the largemouth spawn is, largemouth really need cover. They need something to hide around. They like to spawn around stumps and in grass, shallow, anything shallow, any kind of shallow cover. Smallmouth are just the opposite. They like very little, if any, cover on those hard bottoms, those hard spots that they're spawning on. They'll spawn out in the middle of nowhere. So what I look for is that depth range of 10 to 18 to 20 feet. Sometimes you'll find them shallower than that if the water's a little muddier. But I look for that range. I look for that hard bottom, long shallow points or flats or humps, and typically you'll find at least a few spawning smallmouth. Dang, I got a spider web. And that's kind of what I'm sitting now. I'm 3/4 of the way back in the creek. Got a long flat right here. It's just it's a point that comes out. It's 20 feet here, 10 feet here. And I'm just slowly working it, just taking my time, covering the whole thing. All right, so when there's not a whole lot of wind and I'm not getting a whole lot of bites, I usually switch to something where I'm dragging or bouncing on the bottom. A Ned rig is perfect for this. Some type of a Texas rig crawl bait, but I prefer something as little and subtle as I possibly can get, and gonna just cover the whole area. I hate to fish this way just because it's so slow, but definitely gonna try it. The little paddle tail swim bait has stopped working, and so it's time to go to something that's sitting on the bottom, and I'm just going to take my time dragging it on the bottom. All right, so one thing to remember about a smallmouth, it's not like a largemouth. A largemouth you can catch off the bed, take pictures, put it in the live well, go weigh it in, put it back in the water, and a lot of times they'll go back, they'll find another place to spawn, and they'll start spawning. Smallmouth aren't like that. You catch them, put them in the live well, and haul them off to a weigh-in, they probably will not spawn again that year. They'll dump those eggs and be done with it. So be sure that if you're fishing for and catching smallmouth that are pre-spawn or just about ready to spawn, be sure to just take a picture, put them back in the water, let them go do what they do. Don't just hang on to them for a while. Take care of them. But like I always say, be sure to introduce somebody to fishing. Introduce them to my channel. Let me help you teach them how to fish. More importantly, get out in the water, go out and catch some fish. Have a great day. We'll see you.